We will now begin the City of Boynton Beach City Commissioners meeting today, Tuesday, February 6, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. Would everyone please rise by the invocation led by Commissioner McCrae, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Casello.
Let us bow to the Creator and Maker of all mankind. Here we are once more again, just to reverence your name. Why? Because you're worthy. I want to tell you thank you for the City of Boynton. Help us as we deliberate tonight. Let us do it with peace and in love. But most of all, protect the citizens of this great city, the employees. You know what we stand in need of. We ask that you grant it to us right now. In your name that we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I remind everyone to please silence or put their phone on vibrate. May I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Stephen Catt, or is it Stephen Katz?
Mayor.
Sorry. Mayor,
It's been a long day. Promotion.
Mayor Stephen Grant.
Here.
Vice Mayor Justin Katz.
Here.
Commissioner Mac McCrae.
Here.
Commissioner Christina Romulus.
Present.
Commissioner Joe Casello.
Here.
All present.
All right. Any additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda? I'd like to add item 3C and under announcements for our new Waste Management Director, David Manistine.
Manistine.
All right. Is there anything else?
Mayor, you want us to pull consent at the time of consent?
We'll do it at consent time, yes. All right. All those in favor for the amended, may I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Vice Mayor Justin Katz, would you like to begin?
Nothing to disclose.
Commissioner McCrae?
Thank you. This morning, I met with Doug McDonald and Eugene Gerlika. Also, this week, last week, I met with our new waste management individual, I'll make my comments in regards to him when he's up speaking after I finish. I'd just like to say in regards to the meeting that we had Monday night over at the Carolyn Sims Center, I would like to personally thank Commissioner Romulus and Vice Mayor Justin Katz for their attendance. May I recognize that you was out of town. Commissioner Casello, you probably was helping with the election, but anyway, I just want to tell you all thank you. Thanks for supporting the Sunshine Law. We find out a lot of individuals, they don't understand the Sunshine Law. They tried to put me on the spot, but you know, once you've been in office as long as I have and been saying good morning as long as I have, it's kind of hard to trick us. So I just want to tell you all thank you. I do recognize that we do have some problems, not only in District 2, but I'd like to say that the commissioners who are sitting up here, no matter what district is having problems, when it's printed in the paper, it says Boynton Beach. It don't say District 1, 2, 3, or 4. When we get our stats for Boynton Beach, it lists us as 1, 2, 3, 4. When we look at the real estate market, it don't list us as 1, 2, 3, 4. It said Boynton Beach in a whole. So we all should be concerned no matter what district it's happening in. We should be concerned about what's happening in our city. The news this morning about the shooting, I got nervous again. I said, oh God, probably District 2. But it wasn't District 2. But I was concerned. I am concerned. It's happening in Boynton. I'd like to say to our men and women in blue, thank you for coming out. Y'all got beat up on just like I did. You handled it very professional. And I want to thank you for stepping up what you're doing in District 2. I see a decrease. You know what I'm talking about. A point well taken. Citizens are appreciative. Those who it did affect, they're not happy. And I don't care. And the rest of the citizens don't care. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you all. Thank you. That concludes me.
Commissioner Romulus.
Good evening, everyone. A few things to disclose and go through. I attended the Habitat for Humanity home dedication for the Antoine family a few weeks ago. I attended the AAUW luncheon meeting. I was able to read to some amazing kids at Freedom Shores Elementary School a few days ago. I also, this past weekend, attended the National Haitian American Elected Officials Network annual conference held in North Miami, where over 40-plus Haitian American elected officials from around the United States met. At that time, I was also inducted as part of the 2018 Executive Board to serve as the treasurer. So I'm proud of that position that I currently will serve in. I also attended the Women's Circle 14th Annual Circle of Hope Gala, where myself and my husband served as the honorary chair for this year, an honor that I was privileged to hold for that time. This is a tremendous organization, and the work that they do reaches very far. The work that they basically do is to assist women who come to the United States to basically empower them and to educate them, prepare them for the job market, give them interview skills, and basically help them become productive members of our community. So I thank the Women's Circle for the work that they're doing, and it was an honor to be their honorary chair this year. I also attended the Coalition of Clergy community led by the committee. I attended the community meeting led by the Coalition of Clergy. This was a good time to just sit and reflect and to also listen to concerns of our community, which affects us all as a whole, as Commissioner McCray has stated. So again, I look forward to continued dialogue with our police team. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. I just look forward to the continued dialogue with our citizens, our police department, and just everybody here in the city of Boynton Beach to continue to make our city somewhere that's safe and that we all can be proud to live in. I also attended the racial equity training led by the Palm Beach County School District, very educational opportunity to just learn more about our community. I also was very proud to also be a part of the 500 Ocean grand opening celebration that occurred. This is a very pivotal landmark here for our city and the start of what we will be doing here in the next couple of months to years. So again, I'm very excited about this pinnacle here in our community that's starting and that's showing the wave of changes that's coming here to Boynton Beach. This past Sunday, I attended the Immortal 4 Chaplains Memorial Dedication Ceremony, great event to again commemorate the memory of these strong and brave men who sacrificed their lives in the face of fear to give life to others. So this was an ability to celebrate our veterans and again thank them for their continued service and providing us with freedom here in the United States. And last but not least, this morning I attended the Haitian Citizens Academy led by the Palm Beach County School District. Thank you.
Commissioner Casella.
Thank you. I met with Mr. Neil Schiller, representing Skybridge Capital, which is a bike share company, talking about the possibility of bringing in that sharing of bikes here in Boynton Beach, which I think is a great idea. I also had the opportunity, along with yourself, Mayor, and Commissioner McCray, and I believe Commissioner Ramos was there at the Freedom Shores Literacy Week, reading to the kids, along with our first responders from at Station 3 over there on Minor Road. So I thank those people for being there. And lastly, I did attend the ribbon cutting of 500 Ocean, and I'd like to thank Mr. Tom Hayden for seeing that project come to fruition, and the Lasessi Group for believing in the Boynton Beach area and putting that development there. Thank you.
Commissioner, the reason you don't remember whether or not I was there is because I went on a separate day. I could not attend on that Wednesday, but I did go on the Friday after.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Mayor, just before you give your finals, I just want to say I too was at Freedom Shores. I didn't see anybody, but I was there. I started got there at 8:40, began reading at 8:45, did not leave there until 11:30. And I just want to say, children, they're honest. The last class that I read to, I went in and because they had a garden, like a vegetable garden. I was excited. I said, oh, they got tomatoes, they got radishes, and I got all excited. And the last class that I went to, a young boy met me, and he had a deformity. And I just already said about the radishes, and he said, you know what? He met me and said, I have 2 radishes, and I saved one for you, and I almost broke down and started crying. I'm just saying, kids are honest. Thank you.
Thank you for that. On January 17th, I went to Leisureville to speak to the New York Club. I met with a representative of Bark Management. On January 18th, I attended the opening of Casa del Mar, and then also I went to speak with a representative from SGR for our police chief search. On the 19th, I attended Habitat for Humanity CEO Build home dedication. On the 23rd, I met with the Boca Chamber of Commerce and also attended the County Commissioners meeting where I spoke on behalf of the CRA for their unanimous vote to allow the CRA to help fund Town Square. On the 24th, I attended the Freedom Shores and went early to be on the morning announcements and read to the children's. And then that afternoon went to Wellington for the League of Cities. On January 25th, I went down to the Community Reinvestment Alliance with the CRA to learn about how we can improve our CRA, our Community Redevelopment Agency. On the 26th, I spoke with Skybridge Capital about bringing the bike share program to Boynton Beach. It is something that we're very excited about, and they were talking about electric bikes to make travel easier between Boynton, Boca, Delray, Lake Worth, and West Palm. That evening, I attended the Habitat for Humanity Women's Build home dedication. On January 27th, I worked with the Americans for Immigrant Justice. This is a nonprofit organization that gives legal advice to immigrants in the South Florida area. Gave their information to Lori because I'd like to have use some of the city's facilities so that all people have their 14th Amendment due process rights. That evening, I attended the Deshi Festival, which was at the Boynton Beach High School, and the Boynton Beach Art District's Art Walk. From the 28th to the 31st, I attended the Winter Trustee Schools for the Florida Public Pension Trustees Association. Learned some valuable information about the city's pension and look forward to working with Aon Hewitt about reducing our pension costs and not reducing our benefits. February 1st, I went to Cross Point for their spelling bee competition, acting as a judge. On the February 2nd, I attended the Safe Street Summit over in West Palm Beach. It was very informative. One of the things that I think we're going to have to talk about is called Vision Zero, about having no transit deaths, whether it be from a pedestrian, a bicyclist, a vehicle, or in a train. And so I spoke with Jeff Livergood about creating an ordinance or resolution so that we can have no deaths on the roads in Boynton Beach. I attended the opening ribbon cutting for 500 Ocean, and I was pleased to have the sculptor, Albert Paley, there, who was able to sign pictures of the Cavalcade sculpture, and in the evening watching Glory Road over at Movies in the Park. On February 3rd, I attended the League of Women's Voters Issues and Ideas and got to speak with some of our school board members in Palm Beach County and how we can partner better with them in the city so that we make sure that the children who leave school have an activity and are not just home alone. On the 4th, I attended the Ford Chaplain event, and I was very happy to have my grandfather there, who was a flight engineer on a B-24 with the OSS, flying behind enemy lines, delivering supplies to the resistance. And then I watched the Super Bowl, and I'm sorry, Commissioner Casello, but I wasn't too upset to see the Patriots lose. Then on the 6th, I attended the Haitian Citizen Academy with Commissioner Romulus, and then went to Rolling Green for the Ben Carson Reading Room. And that is it for the past 3 weeks.
Commissioner Casello, do you have like a bet that you lost or something?
I'd lost a lot of things, and I'm still in mourning, thank you, and I'm going to have to be working with our Commissioner Katz over here at Big Philadelphia, our Eagles fan, and I'm eating humble pie at this time.
Is there any more informational items?
Mayor, I do want to remind everybody that it is February, so it is Black History Month, so lots of different activities around the county and around the state to keep celebrating that and to educate ourselves about the profound contributions that our Black community has made to the world as a whole. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to announcements, community and special events and presentations. Announcement by Recreation and Parks Director Wally Majors about the 6th Annual Barrier-Free 5K Walk and Roll that will be held on Saturday, February 10th, beginning at 7:30 a.m., and 2nd Annual Magic Wheels and Special Deals event that will be held on Friday, February 9th, beginning at 6 p.m. Both events will be held at Barrier-Free Park. The Magic Wheels and Special Deals event will include the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the new multi-station accessible playground that is being installed at the park.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Wally Majors, Recreation and Parks Director. As I'm talking to you, we're going to be scrolling through some pictures to help give you some visuals about some of the things that we're going to be celebrating this weekend. As the Mayor indicated, on Friday, we're going to be celebrating our 2nd Annual Magic Wheels and Special Deals event. And the premise of the event is where we take a child's wheelchair and, for lack of a better words, we pimp it up. And we've been able to do this for the past couple of years. It's been very exciting because it really helps for us to be able to really create a great visual about the theme of the park, which is to provide a facility which is free of barriers which would inhibit a child from enjoying themselves and their friends. So with that being the case, for the past couple of years, we've, as part of the Magic Wheelchair, we've chosen a child not only to receive the Magic Wheelchair, but also to be the honorary starter of the 5K, which is the following morning at the park. And this year, the child that we chose is Joshua Hazard. Joshua is a very remarkable child who has several rare brain disorders which have resulted in, among other things, legal blindness, cerebral palsy, cognitive impairment, physical limitations, and several other complex medical issues. He's a wonderful child because despite all those challenges, he's considered the mayor of his school, which is Royal Palm School here in Boynton Beach, and he's referred to as the mayor because of his great personality. He waves to everybody. He loves to go around in his wheelchair and really be an ambassador of goodwill in his at his school. And in the picture that you see scrolling through, he's joined by his 6-year-old brother, Jonathan, who's 7 years old. Both of the boys were adopted by their foster care parents, who are shown there with the judge who presided over the adoption this past July. And so, among other things, you'll see there Emma, that was the recipient of the Magic Wheelchair last year. She wanted a wheelchair that was symbolic of a father who passed away, and his favorite car was a 2010 Camaro. So that's why the car you see, the purple car, that's again a replica of a 2010 Camaro. The other wheelchair is the Cinderella carriage wheelchair that Bella Maria wanted, and we can converted temporarily a wheelchair into a Cinderella carriage. And then on Friday, we'll be unveiling the carriage, the magic wheelchair for Joshua, and we hope you can all join us. The other thing that we'll be doing on Friday is to do the ribbon cutting for our much anticipated multi-station accessible playground. And in very short words, this playground is there to, again, provide an opportunity whereby as many barriers as possible have been removed to provide a child the ability to enjoy themselves and be part of the games and activities where all their able-bodied friends. And we really wanted to find a way to illustrate that a playground is a lot more than just where kids can play. So we found a very short 2-minute video that I hope will work, and I think will really give you a sense of what these playgrounds can do to our community.
There's a lot of talk about what's wrong with the world today. Negativity, discord, intolerance. But I don't see it that way. There's too much right in the world. There's too much good.
When I look out there, I see promise. I see potential. I see imagination, collaboration, celebration.
I see leaders, advocates, creators.
I see decisions being made, healthy decisions. not just for the body, but for the mind, for the soul, for each other.
I see people working together, helping each other. And by helping each other, we discover who we really are and all the good that we can share with the world.
We learn.
We grow.
We lead.
We follow.
We take turns.
We take chances.
We imagine together.
We don't just tolerate each other, we celebrate each other, our similarities and our differences.
Yeah, we fall down, but we get back up, keep climbing.
We try and we fail.
We try and we fail.
We try and we succeed.
By pushing the limits of ourselves, we realize that there are no limits to what we can do.
When I look out there, I see the promise of the future.
I see tomorrow.
And for a better tomorrow, we play today.
So I hope you can all join us. We'll see you Friday night, 6 o'clock, Berryfield Park, and then the following morning, 7:30. A great way to stay fit, 5K, 3 miles, easy breezy. And hope to see you there. If you need any more information, I'm standing by and be glad to share it all with you. Thank you very much.
Mayor.
Yes.
Excuse me. I know we already did the agenda, but we have an event that's coming up, and we probably need to make it D. Minister Wright is in the audience. We need to recognize and have a place where you can speak about the Robert E. Wells Love Fest. If we could redo our motion so that we could include that, please.
Do I have a second for the reconsideration?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, put that up for item D. Next, we have proclaimed February 11th to the 17th, 2018 as 211 Awareness Week. Sharon LaRoe, 211's President and CEO, will be present to accept the proclamation. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas many times people need help in meeting life's basic needs, and whereas they may experience times of crisis and not sure where to turn. 211 Helpline is that central access point providing individuals and families the guidance and support they need, with over 106,454 requests for help last year. And whereas people of all ages can access 211 via phone, text, or online chat throughout the day and night, the City of Boynton Beach is indeed fortunate to have 211 Helpline. And whereas 211 also helps link vulnerable populations to crucial services with specialized advocacy and support programs that include 211 Special Needs Helpline, 211's Help Me Grow Initiative, Elder Crisis Outreach, and 211's Life Saving Sunshine daily telephone reassurance call continue to brighten the lives of local seniors. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, hereby proclaim February 11th to the 17th, 2018 as 211 Awareness Week. You're welcome. Camera over there.
Thank you so much for that recognition. And before I get started with a couple of comments, I just wanted to add that we also have a special needs hotline. That video was so moving, so touching. I want to make sure that everybody knows that if you have a special needs child in your life, don't forget that you can reach out to 211, where we have an advocate that can give you some extra support, who's an expert on all of the services for special needs children in this county. So give us a call whenever you need us for that. I wanted to tell you just a little bit about our year. I think that everybody here probably knows that 2017 was a tough year for a lot of people, and for an organization, 211 Helpline, that is dedicated to helping people who are struggling or don't know where to turn for help, that made it a very busy year for us indeed. And as you mentioned, we responded to over 100,000 requests for help last year. A lot of things happened, especially in the fall. It started with Hurricane Harvey, and everybody's attention was riveted to Texas. We do that because we're so sympathetic with our neighbors, because we know how vulnerable we are. And sure enough, right after that, we were facing our own Hurricane Irma. So right before that, our call volume doubled, and in some days tripled, as we helped our community prepare, and then following that storm, recover. We had very little time for recovery before the nation was facing the massacre in Las Vegas. A lot of people called us in despair over that. And then shortly after, we were facing Hurricane Maria. So it was a very busy fall indeed at the 211 helpline. Given that we answer the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline for this region, it's not surprising perhaps that in October the number of calls on that line doubled. And recently, Logic performed his suicide prevention song at the Grammys. The Lifeline actually reached out to our team to ask if we could staff up in preparation for that and add more people on our crisis chat line. And we were able to do that. Increased chats did in fact come in, and our team was ready. So this awareness is so important to us because we don't have the budget to really make sure that all of our citizens know everything that we're doing. So awareness like this very much helps. I'm going to ask everybody here tonight to help as well. Please check out our website, see what we're doing. Take a look at our Facebook page, like that page, share that with your friends and neighbors. I'm asking everyone to make sure that everyone you care about knows that the 211 helpline is here for you. So thank you so much for this recognition.
Next, we have David Manasim. If you could tell us a little bit about what were you doing before, and how excited you are to work for Boynton Beach, and what do you see, and what you would like to do moving forward.
Mayor, he might not be excited because I already broke him in. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Jeff Liveriga, Director of Public Works and Engineering. I'll let Dave speak in a minute, but we're very pleased that this year we're able to hire a solid waste manager. It's an upper-level position for us in our solid waste program. Dave's fairly modest, so I'm going to give you a little bit of his background. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Sorry, Chief, you don't get him. He also has a master's degree in business administration. He has 11 years of progressively increasing responsibility with Waste Management, a private firm. That's important to us here in Boynton Beach. We are very good in our solid waste operations at providing customer service, and I think most of the residents in the community would attest to the skills, capability, and frankly the kindness of a lot of our employees. But Dave comes to us from the private sector, which the private sector in waste management is a business. And our solid waste operations are a business. We look to make a profit. We look to be very efficient in what we do. So we're going to be leaning a lot on Dave to provide us the business expertise that he's so capably had with waste management. We put him in charge of an electronic initiative that we're going to be bringing to you in a couple of months for tracking our vehicles and our operations. So he's going to be bringing that to you. But I want to give you some idea of why we hired him. We're awesome. We're just very proud to have him here. So I'd like to introduce you to Davidson Monestein, but he does go by Dave and all the other names that we call him.
I am extremely excited to be here, and I'm here to help the team any way I can. Extremely excited to be here.
Yes, Commissioner McCray.
Thank you.
Yes, Jeff has already introduced me and pretty much said everything. So I'm here to make the team better. I'm a team player, and I'm here to help the team any way I can. So
Don't leave. Fix your mic first. Fix the mic. There you go. You don't have to be nervous now. I done broke you in. I'd just like to say to the citizens here in Boynton, I was really impressed because he was supposed to come to our last commissioner meeting in which he did not come. I don't know, it was a mix-up, but we got that straight. But I had a chance to meet him one-on-one, and I went over to our utilities, our solid waste grounds, and they asked, well, where's the new guy? And they said, he's over in the West Wing. I said, the West Wing? That's where his office. So I said, okay. So I was coming out the door. I had my hood on. I don't know how I was dressed to rest. But anyway, when I seen him, they introduced himself. I pulled off my hood. I said, take a good look at me. He said, oh, okay. I said, I'm the troublemaker. But I just want to say, the only problem that I see with him so far is he has not activated his cell phone unless he did it today. Please activate your cell phone. But I'd just like to say I was really impressed with Dave. The reason I was impressed with him was that when he and I had our conversation, he's still very humble, but he had to let me know. He said, Commissioner, I started from the back of the garbage truck, and I worked my way all the way up to where I am now. And, and that's very impressive. And I just like to say, hopefully you'll pass that enthusiasm on to the employees over there. Let them know that education is very, very important. No matter where you start at, everybody's important. And you will make a great individual here for this team. I know you will because I met with you already, gave you some issues. You handled them before the sun went down. And that's what I like. If you could work with me, you could work with anybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know that we have a recycling program, and hopefully that we can expand our recycling program is what I'd like to see.
Yes, I am very excited about the recycling program. Actually, we piloted some very sustainable program with waste management where we have RFID, which would give you participation rates and all that good stuff. So, and you asked me earlier about my goals probably in the future, looking at sustainability, renewable resources, and I'm a school nerd, so I'm still learning, and I'm planning on probably getting my terminal degree and looking at stuff like that and some crazy sometime in the future.
All right. Thank you. And next we have an announcement for Robert E. Wells Day. Commissioner.
Yes, Robert E. Wells Love Fest.
I apologize. Before we bring up Reverend Wright, I do want to interject that Jeff has managed to hire a nerd just like him.
All right.
In addition, I just want to give some props and some kudos to Jeff, who's managed to just really do some commendable things here in the city. And I know again, he doesn't get as much props as he deserves, but I'll give him those props because I think he deserves them. We've had a lot of incidences. Boynton Beach has been in the spotlight for some issues with Brightline and the trains, but due to the work that Jeff has been doing in the background, we have been able to now secure some additional safety measures at these crossings that are going to be very heavily frequented by pedestrians, especially in our downtown corridor as we go about fixing that. So I just want to give kudos to Jeff and the team that's working on that and making sure that we keep our Boynton Beach residents safe and alive. Thank you, Jeff.
Anything else? No. All right.
U.S.
You may begin.
Good evening, Minister Bernard Wright of Bernard Wright Ministries, Robert E. Wells Foundation, and Real Talk Radio, 713 Northwest 2nd Street. In spite of any differences that we have in human relations, let me just thank everybody on the dais, from City Manager Laurie, all the commissioners, Mayor, thank you. And everyone who has supported this Robert E. Wells Day Love Fest that is upcoming on Saturday the 10th. I'd like to thank all of you all who have supported this. We are hoping that this will be the catalyst to bring about a great change in Boynton, having to do with our mindset in our community and curbing the violence over in the community, which is a community problem. I'm trusting that education and information will be disseminated that will ring ceremoniously in the ears of the crowd. I'm trusting that we'll have a great turnout. And I'm inviting anyone that have the opportunity to come and introduce yourself. This is a very crucial time right now in our community, especially in District 2. And what happens in District 2 have a reflection on Boynton as a whole. Having a great stake in this city as a historic member of the city, a long-term resident. I'm greatly concerned about a betterment in every area. I don't live with grudges. If I have the difference with you, it's all in regard to what is common with human relations. If anyone know me in these past 8 years, especially 6 consistently coming down here, I've had an interest in the children and what's better for my city over here and dealing with my people. To God be the glory. But I just again want to thank everyone who has handshook, who have done anything in respect to all the flyers and the marketing and this event having elevated from Sandlot. My family and all doing this to get a recognition of our black history in this city. And I just do believe that from a historical point of view, fundamentally we can find change, because without history, without a knowledge of our history, you know, a tree, it's like with no roots, it bears no fruit. And I know how thriving it were in this city. I mean, from an experiential point of view, not from what I've heard. I was here, I was there. And we can have restoration in this city. We can have resurrection in this city, because it really has been dead for decades. And God is the God of restoration. He's the God of resurrection. He's the God of life, and He's the God of order. And I just want to thank y'all again. Y'all have a great night tonight and have a great year this year. God bless.
Minister, right before you go, you forgot to say it's going to be at Sarah Sims.
Oh, yes, and it's going to be at Carolyn Sims
Carolyn
Park
Sims,
from
thank
12
you.
to
So you're
4.
paying attention.
And everything is free. And we're just going to do a great thing.
What times?
From 12 to 4.
All right, thank you.
And afternoon.
Carolyn Sims from 12 to 4 on Saturday.
February the 10th, yes.
All right.
Thank you all.
All right. Anything further for the announcements? Seeing none, moving into public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to 3-minute presentations. Please state your name and address before you begin.
Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way. First of all, I've got some very overdue letters. I've been carrying them around in my bag, and I haven't been here for a month, so I'm sorry they're late. Find yours and pass along. My students say thank you. I try not to ever be negative. I try and always be positive when I come up here, but I want to know what's going on with my city. With the possible exception of Reverend Wright, I think there's very few people who have more of a vested interest in this city than the Oyer family, and I've seen nothing positive in the last 2 months, or very little, I should say. I mean, people who need to know on the dais and in the room know what's going on in my neighborhood. There's guns, there's shootings, there's drug dealers, train deaths, domestic violence, human trafficking. Gang symbols are now showing up on my family's building. I had one of those 2 Sundays ago. This is a fabulous city. I love my city. And I'm quite distressed to see the path this is taking, because we are moving forward in such a positive manner in oh so many ways. And this just seems like, and I feel bad for the police, because they are truly busting butt and working hard, but what the heck is going on with our city? I mean, do we need to get Sheriff Joe in from Arizona? What do we need to do? Do we need the FDE, was it the FDLE, the FEA, no, the DEA, the FBI, the FDLE? What are we doing? I mean, every day, with the possible exception of maybe a handful of days in the last 2 months, every day I have turned on the news and seen something not positive about our city, and this is the greatest city to live in the whole county. There's a reason my family's been here for almost 150 years. I mean, like I said, Reverend Wright's family's been here for a very, very long time, but mine was first. And no one has more of a vested interest, and I want to know what we're doing. How are we solving these problems? I should not be spending 2 hours on a Sunday cleaning up gang symbols that somebody wrote on the side of our building. They made a big poster, glued it on, and I spent 2 hours cleaning it off. And yes, it's been reported to the police. But this is just insane, and we're all seeing it, and I kind of want to know what's going to happen, because I'm not happy. And I'm sure no one else is, and I'm sure Mayor Grant especially takes all this to heart, because you're a kind, compassionate person. And I think everyone on the dais is, and I think we're all looking at this and quite upset. But I hope there's a pathway moving forward on this, and I feel sorry for our police, because I know they're busting butt and working hard, but, what's happening? How is this moving forward? How is this changing? Because I like living in a positive, happy city. I like being able to walk up here every time and have something positive to say, and it's the white elephant in the room, I think. Thank you.
Susan, before you sit down, I'd like to just encourage you to get with Acting Chief Harris. A lot of things.
We are in regular contact.
Please let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we had our meeting Monday night. You wasn't there, but a lot of positive things, they are happening now. There's some things that the police is doing that I cannot disclose. They cannot disclose, but I because District 2, but I'm just saying, they're cleaning it up, and there's positive things, and I just want to say, just bear with, us, along with the police. We're getting things done. Just meet with her one-on-one. I'm just saying, because what I've seen in the last 2 weeks over in District 2, I feel better, too. Thank you.
Okay, well, I hope that extends to my neighborhood and the problems across the street from me. Thank you.
And Susan, I was at the courthouse and speaking with some state attorneys, and they are working with our Boynton Beach Police. They can't tell us anything, but everything, we are working very hard. I can guarantee that.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I think maybe it's time to ramp it up and maybe bring in that extra help we need, because our officers are overwhelmed. They're doing an outstanding job, but...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Blas, 113 Tara Lakes West, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. I usually speak last, but I thought it was such an honor to speak after Mr. Wells and the Oyer family, the quintessential Boyntonians. Somehow I feel like reminding everybody that one source of Boynton is Michigan. Colonel Boynton came from Port Huron, and the other side is from the Bahamas, which is also tremendously important. I think we all know that, and now there's a lot of other cultures mixed in. I would like to say two things. One is that I feel the current mayor and commission are phenomenal. I mean, you guys are doing so much that is unbelievable. And nevertheless, as you all know, I'm running for mayor in 1 year. So some things have to be improved. Together we can improve them. The immediate issue of gun violence, I have a rather radical solution, and I know the NRA will put me in jail, but that's okay. I will do some reading. I will have most of Boynton like an airport. Only police, authorized people will have guns. No teenagers on drugs with guns and so on. I'm from the Israeli army. I'm not afraid of a weapon, but in Israel, crazy people, we take the weapons away. So that's in my platform, that we're going to not have that kind of gun violence. It's disgusting. The other thing that we are all grieving about is that train, I forgot what it's called, the super fast 25th century train, yeah, whatever. You may recall they came here, they were the most arrogant people on the block. They came here as multimillionaires. I attend those meetings, and of course I confronted them. And they knew everything. What I told them, I want to remind you, and that is in my platform, I said, you want to come to Boynton, you have to stop in Boynton. Pick up our people, whatever. And I know it's going to be a major lawsuit, but I still think I'm right. If they want to use Boynton at all, first of all the gates have to be totally secure. The next person who dies, these people go to jail forever. But they should also stop in Boynton. Now, the final thing is, I need to remind you all, I'm this visionary who's going to bring money to the city, and I will say it very quickly. The press always ignores me, so please shut your ears. We're going to get energy from the Gulf Stream, which will bring a lot of money here. And the second thing is, I have this unbelievable plan to build the tallest building in the world where Boynton Beach Mall is. I know it's unbelievable, it's fantastic, but it will bring so much money that we'll be able to pay for things. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Dr. Stephanie Hayden Adeyemo, that's Hayden-Adeyemo. I come tonight to speak about just two things that I noticed just with Ms. Oyer, and then something Mr. McCrae stated concerning we are one Boynton. It's not divided into per se areas. And I know that I did attend the second day of the opening of Ocean, and I do know that the CRA is tasked with improving our city where areas are lacking, so to speak, blight. I went into 500 Ocean. And this is supposed to be a building that has taken some considerable time to construct. They have come here to ask for extension. I visited the building. I went to the third, the 3-bedroom. I walked into it. It is considerably very small, and if this is how the buildings are going to be coming up and around the area to be areas where people are living in them because the price of living is extremely high, they're asking for 4 times the rent. If you cannot afford that, you can't live there. So I'm saying to you, if you have investors coming here, taking the property, coming to you with the creative way that you're having them come and take ownership of land, what is being erected is not of quality. And so what I see happening is, because if that is just one of the properties so far that has taken considerable time to build, okay, you are asking them to put an investment in the city, but when I walked into something where it's a 3-bedroom and they have, like, you know, my son was so excited with the bowling alley, it surfaced what actually is there. You have a high price rental unit that is not profiting the city. And all the units that are going to be built around the 16-acre within there that are going to be development are going to be like that, where you have people that are not going to be able to afford it, and it's rental. And then you have the habitats, you know, love Habitat for Humanity, but it's coming in as a different way. You're taking up property that someone can utilize to make a betterment. How many people that's in the MLK quarter has actually had dibs on a Habitat for Humanity home? Lastly, second thing, I'm sorry, I went...
No, I'm sorry. You can wrap it up, but it's time.
Thank you for telling me I can wrap it up. I did see something that you put in the paper about the CRA not doing their job as it relates to the MLK portion, right? Now, if you were of that concern about the MLK getting their due diligence of getting started on construction there, you would have put it as your point to do that, not 500 Ocean, where you have substandard living dwelling for people that cannot afford it.
Thank you very much.
I know you're welcome.
And so before we go, yes, I was on MLK last night speaking with the people there about what they want to see. And as for 500 Ocean, it was built before I was on the board. And I don't think it's cheap at all. I think it was a wonderful structure. It's going to be an anchor as a mixed-use building to have 340 units in Boynton Beach that have not been, there's nothing been built on Ocean Avenues in, I think, over 10 years or 20 years. And so I'm looking forward to Boynton Beach, and for our Town Square project, we plan on having workforce housing there.
Just for the record, Mayor, I believe that on Seacrest we're putting in over 100 apartments of affordable housing.
We don't have a contract yet.
Well, it's in the process.
Yes.
Thank you.
Matthew Mugilan, 5102 Mahogany Drive, Boynton Beach. I've given you a copy of an article that's called Dangerous by Design that talks about what is the demography of people who are being hit by cars, trains, mostly pedestrians. What is the demography of these pedestrians? And looking at the statistics, you could see that a lot of municipalities in Florida has a large number of pedestrian danger index. And the article also says that Americans are 7.2 times more likely to die as pedestrians than from a natural disaster. And I come from a country called India, and it's not a rich country. However, the country has invested constructing overbridges and underpasses wherever there's intersections between railroads and regular roads. Why? Because we had a lot of fatalities, and people who are who end up being victims of these fatalities are people from the lower income class, because they are the ones who either live close to the railroads and or are they are the ones who are desperate to beat the clock in terms of getting to their jobs, trying to get from one work to the other, trying to get to the store. So usually it's people of color and people of low-income households who are being victims of these fatalities. So it's as City of Boynton Beach, we could invest in constructing these overbridges on underpasses. And I understand, I mean, it's an investment for the city, but we have invested $1.2 million in Martin Luther King Boulevard, even though no business have applied just to construct, just to do a development there. So it's something to think about. See, the other thing that I wanted to mention was we have voted in December for license plate readers, and we recently learned that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or DHS, have also started to use the data from license plate readers. I would like to know if the City of Boynton Beach or the Boynton Beach Police are sharing this data with the federal agents. I mean, DHS can do whatever they want. However, being part of this committee, I'm concerned that our taxpayer money is being utilized to get this get people of our community deported. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brother Victor Norfus. I live at 7849 Venture Center Way, Boynton Beach, Florida. That's out west off of Hagen Ranch. I've been a lifelong resident of District 2. I recently moved, but I've always been concerned about the condition and the level of violence and the lack of economic opportunities for that area. Recently, we had a community meeting that was held over at Carolyn Sims Center, and a lot of people were venting about the problems that we're having and the shootings that we're having and the lack that we feel we have any control over what's going on. There were a lot of good ideas that came up out of that meeting, but I did not get a chance to speak at that time. But there was something that, as a person that has lived here, and along with Minister Wright, my family's been here since 1896. So when the Wells were here, the Meeks were here as well. But what I'm trying to say is that being a longtime resident, I know that the individuals that are creating the crimes got involved into the juvenile justice system first. Once they get involved in there, it's 3 to 5 years before they're out here shooting and hurting innocent people and doing a lot of the things that we're complaining about right now. One of the things that I don't know if the police department is doing is addressing these youth when they get involved in the juvenile justice system that are from our area, that are from the city of Boynton Beach. This has been done, or is being done, in Chicago. One of the things they're doing with those individuals, those kids that have gotten involved in the juvenile justice system, went to something as simple as chess. And a lot of those kids are no longer repeat offenders. This gives them something other than seeing drugs and seeing shootings and seeing people making money and nobody caring about them. What I'm trying to see is the city and the police department can somehow reach out to our youth that are currently in the juvenile system. Because within 3 to 5 years, they're going to be adults. And unless we reach out to them early, we're going to have to lock them up later. And this is something that I tried to bring up at a past commission meeting when we had the shooting out at the mall where someone was killed during the Christmas holidays. But it was dismissed as if I was trying to granularize or somehow give some tribute to the individuals that did the shooting. But what I want them to do is try and address it before that point. Once they get in that juvenile system, trust me, it'll be 3 to 5 years. They'll be out here shooting and banging and trying to get other people to do criminal crimes with them. Hopefully you can do something. or the police can do something, or maybe there is a program out there. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ramona Young. My address is 101 South Federal Highway, aka 500 Ocean. I recently sold my house in West Boynton, moved into this beautiful apartment building. I have been very satisfied. I was very happy to see the celebration over the past weekend, that everybody came. And they didn't know, but I did take pictures and posted it on Facebook. I wasn't allowed because I'm a resident, but all you big muckety-mucks were there, and that was a good thing, and I was happy to see that. I want to say that I'm new here. I haven't been here since 1860. I'm only here 17 years. I was in West Boynton. I used to come to the meetings and keep my mouth shut, but now I can talk. I was very impressed at the meeting at Carolyn Sims Park, although there were not enough people there from here. There should have been more people that attend this meeting at that meeting. There was great discussion. Sometimes there were things that were said that were people could consider implementing. Other times there were just the normal complaints that people reiterate week after week after month. But we have to do something to help the police and give suggestions rather than just complain. That's how I think. I'm very proud of police right now, although they're not top of my list. The Eagles are right now, and I'm a Giant fan.
All right.
The Giants were terrible this year. They took interest in what was going on, and I was impressed by that. My time is running out. So I want to give praise to the police. I also want to say that you could never beat a train. I lived in Red Bank, New Jersey. Train ran through there, through New York all the time. People always try to beat the train, and the train always beat them. So we must be cognizant that the train is faster than we are. 500 Ocean is open, and everybody should come over there and take a look, because it is a beautiful place. Everybody can't live there. Everybody can't live everywhere. But you must consider that it is something that is a beautiful, beautiful facility, and they're going to keep making it that way, I'm sure. 6 seconds. Thank you very much for coming. Please come again. If you want to see my apartment, just let me know.
Hello, my name is Ron Vogel. I live at 124 Northwest 10th Court and in Boynton Beach. And I have a question about how much leeway do we have with ICE in terms of identifying non-citizens who live in our community and reporting that to them? I know we're not a sanctuary city, but is there still some obligations that you have to perform in making arrests and identifying ICE? Deportation seems to be a very important issue with this current federal administration. So I'm just wondering what leeway do we have as far as that administration?
Lori?
Good evening, Commissioners. Kelly Harris, Acting Chief of Police. Sir, currently what we do is we just abide by the rules and regulations and laws that are on the books. So we cooperate with any agency, if that answers your question. Yes? Any further questions?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner McCrae.
Thank you. I'd just like to say we had several individuals came up tonight and spoke about Brightline. I met with the city manager. She's not going to say anything because we don't let her speak, but I'm going to speak. she came in at 10:30 at our meeting, and I'm just saying, and she said, I can't believe what I just saw. And I'm like saying, well, you just seen me, so what you can't believe? And Brightline had just went through, and she said that the gates was down before they even got there. The gates was down. That was an individual on a bicycle. He went through the gates and got on the other side of the tracks, and when the train passed by, he talking about whoop, whoop. So I'm just saying it's not, Brightline, it's education that is needed here in this city. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Robert Langley. I live at 280 Main Boulevard in the city of Boynton Beach. My concern is about two things, and it's about minority representation on the CRA and on the zoning board, that those interests are always expressed and understood. I know the CRA is charged with development and putting up, well, I'm not going to get into the MLK thing because you may have gone through that already. But what are the assurances that the minority communities will always be attended to by the CRA and by the zoning committee?
I can't speak to the zoning, but let me speak to the CRA. First of all, we are the CRA board. We have minorities sitting up here, sir. I've been in Boynton for 64 years, so I do know what is going on. Also, on our CRAB board, we do have a minority on there, so we do have representation, sir, on that board.
It's also about the decisions that are made, even if the minorities are represented.
Sir, we are the decision makers. We are the final one. I do believe I am a minority.
I know you are too, which I appreciate.
So we have representation. Thank you.
Just expressing that needs to continue. So I thank you for your time and energy. Thank you.
Seeing no more public comments, moving on to administrative. I believe we have an applicant for the Alternative Education and Youth Advisory Board, Commissioner Romulus.
Alternate, not alternative, alternate.
Alternate.
I move to appoint Corey Vos for the alternate position.
I think it's Voce, but yes.
Excuse me.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next is authorize the mayor to travel to Orlando to attend the P3 certification training program and to pay for 2 nights at the hotel.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. I will bring back a nice report for the board. Now we're on to consent agenda. Would anyone like an item pulled from consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to pull item 6B.
6B. I would like item D and J. And is there anything else? Seeing none, may I have item B?
Mayor, I would just like to have staff or our chief just give us a little more detail about this. I think it's a great collaboration that we're doing with FAU, and I would just like the public to be more aware of it.
Glenn Joseph, Boynton Beach Fire Rescue. Well, we have a collaborative agreement with most of our educational facilities that train medical students, nurses, paramedics, EMTs. And so what we try to do is give them an awareness of what goes on in the pre-hospital environment, meaning EMS. So we allow the students to ride with us to get some knowledge, experience, and acclimation to what goes on in the pre-hospital environment. It helps us several ways. It helps us interact with them when we meet them at the hospital. Helps us help them get knowledge of what we do and how we do it and what kind of expertise is available in the pre-hospital environment. So it's a win-win for everyone. This agreement with FAU is to help their medical students, again, get that knowledge and experience. And so we do it with all of our students, including HCI, Palm Beach State, and now FAU in the medical program. So.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Thank you for sharing that.
Commissioner McCray.
I have a question. Under risk management, I'm just saying they are covered, I'm just saying, on our insurance policy.
We have a standard risk management package and insurance coverage requirements that have been that covered all of their students, including us, for any kind of liability.
And are they paying for that liability?
They are paying for their own liability coverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is the city getting anything from FAU besides the students, like tickets or?
Generally, we do it as a gratis,
It's
for,
gratis.
for the schools involved. Although FAU has a very nice patient simulator, they use to train nurses and their medical doctors, and they're made it available to us in case we need for training.
Well, I know that the Boynton Beach Wildcats, I don't know if you have that sort of connection to see if we can ask. Because for gratis.
Well,
you know.
yeah, if you voted tonight, and then it'll be done. But certainly float the idea and see how it goes.
Okay, sounds good.
Chief, do they share ideas with you? Is it a two-way conversation? I know you show them what we do, but do they come up with a suggestion or an idea that might work even better?
Absolutely. A lot of medical students are getting new training, so they have the most up-to-date techniques and ideas on research. So it's a collaborative agreement. They share information back and forth. They ride with the guys. They hang out with them and go on calls. And they usually they said they will provide at least a small training session for each ride-along so that they'll be bringing something to the department as well.
Thank you.
I believe I also read something in the backup about teaching opportunities that they also may be extending to some of our individuals.
Absolutely. They have like I said, they have a patient simulator, and what they try to do is have a variety of experiences for their medical students. So they have a lot of pre-hospital people actually writing scenarios using a patient simulator, which is basically has pulses, heart sounds, EKG, the whole 9 yards, and they put them through scenarios to see the decision-making, critical thinking, and all that kind of stuff. So generally, when they go into collaborative agreements like this, they will extend that opportunity for some of our paramedics if they want to come join their team to help write the scenarios. And again, we get the benefit of having them have that experience as well.
Awesome. Great, Chief. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item D, proposed resolution number 18-17. This is for the backup generator for the East Water Treatment Plant. I know that we have in the appropriations bill, hopefully for next year, to have some sort of fuel cell. Is that in line with what we're doing? And what can we do for the future? Because I know this is only a year contract to make things more sustainable than renting one out.
Yes, Joe Paternity, Interim Utility Director. This is a temporary extension for the auxiliary generator, and what we're doing is we're in the planning process for either a permanent diesel generator or a fuel cell generator. We're still collecting the information and doing the design work, so this is to get us through.
Okay. Thank you. Mayor? Yes, Commissioner McCray.
Thank you. I'd like to know, since we did the renovation on the East Treatment Water Plant, do it have to be located where you all have it at?
That's the planned location at this point. The existing has to be.
Okay, can we look at moving it?
Excuse me.
Can we look at relocating it? I'm just saying it makes the front of the building looks bad. I'm just saying.
We could certainly provide buffer screening for it, make it look nicer.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Commissioner Casella?
Will you have all this information within the next year, so we don't have
Absolutely.
to have this issue on a agenda for next year?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
How you doing? 67, David Katz, 67 Midwood Lane, our fair city. Looking on the face of this, unless something's wrong and it's more than 1,000 kilowatt, after Hurricane Irma, I looked into getting a on-demand backup generator for my house. And I was told an 11,000 kilowatt generator installed, wiring, permits, and everything would be about $16,000. Is there something special about this thing? Because these numbers don't match up to what I was told about what I could get from my house.
So it's a megawatt? 1,000 kilowatts is a megawatt.
Okay.
So I don't think, it might have been 1,100 kilowatts or 1,100 watts.
Okay, well.
Because 1,000, is that my math correct? 1,000 kilowatts a megawatt? Yeah,
okay.
your house doesn't
then I
need
apologize. Just on the face of it, look a little screwy, and
yeah,
I'm glad everything's
kilowatt.
on the up and up. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Commissioner Romulus is absent. Next item is J, proposed resolution number 18-020, approve utilizing the General Service Administration contract to enter into a 60-month contract for the purchase of Internet services from Comcast Business Communications for $640 a month for a 60-month cost of $38,400. Is John here? Discuss it. Basically, I understand how important fast internet is, and from what I saw in the contract, we chose the middle plan. Is that correct?
That's correct. John McNally, Director of Information Technology Services Department. This is for a backup, a secondary internet connection. Our primary one is contracted through Palm Beach County.
Okay.
And just like you would have a generator or a UPS, with the extensive use of a lot of services that we're contracted out that are in the cloud per se, we really rely on that internet connection. So we need to have a redundant service there, just in the event that we do lose connectivity. We want to make sure that we're still able to provide services to our internal customers so they can serve our citizens.
Okay, so I thought this was the major one. So what is our current megabytes per second for the city?
We, on the average, use about 40 meg through that internet service through the county.
Okay.
So we're provisioning this one at about 50 meg, just in the event that over time we start to grow. We can always ramp that up if we need to, but we feel that even as a secondary or a backup service, 50 meg would be more than adequate, even at our current rate, to provide that safety net per se.
Okay, and so if both Comcast and the county go out, are we out of luck?
We've probably got bigger problems somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Request for a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, with Commissioner Romulus absent.
Mayor, we need a motion on the rest of the consent agenda.
So move.
Yep. All right, Commissioner Romulus, we'll wait for you. Yeah, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to bids and purchases over $100,000. Proposed resolution number 18-022, approve utilizing the City of Miami's contract to furnish and install emergency equipment and law enforcement vehicles on an as-needed basis from Dana Safety Supply of Doral, Florida, for an estimated annual amount of $225,000. The City of Miami's procurement process satisfies the city's competitive bid requirements.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Yes.
Second.
I'd just like to ask, is this the first time that we're using this company?
Hi, good evening. Tim Howard, Assistant City Manager. No, this isn't the first time. We used them for the last couple of years. This is to provide the light outfit for the police vehicles. Prior to a couple years ago, we would buy them from a vendor off the state contract, and that vendor would install the lights. The police department did some research 2 to 3 years ago and found that we could buy the police vehicles from the vendor, take them to this vendor, and it was less expensive to get the lights installed. So I think this is the second go around with this vendor.
Let me ask the next question. How much money did we save? I'm just saying by utilizing, I know I always put y'all on the spot.
If I remember correctly, when Matt Zeller from the police department did the comparison, it was somewhere between $1,000 and $1,200 per vehicle, because it's like $4,500, I believe, to outfit it with the light structure and everything. But by doing this, it's like $1,200 cheaper, from what I remember.
Let me rephrase it. I know we didn't spend all the way up to $225,000. How much was in the budget? See, I know I'm putting you on the spot. You can just send it to me. That's the information I need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to approve. I already did.
Yep. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Proposed resolution number 18-023, authorize utilizing the City of Miami Beach's contract for interior and exterior painting and waterproofing for the fiscal year 2017-18 from Hartzell Painting Contractors of Pompano Beach, Florida, for an estimated annual expenditure of $220,000.
Mayor, I neglected to remind us at the beginning of the agenda approval, we're going to pull this item, remove it, and we're going to try to break it down and get it into some smaller projects for our building wealth.
Okay, so
we just ask that you remove it from the agenda tonight.
Motion to remove from the agenda.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to proposed resolution number R18-24, approve acceptance of a 6-month interim contract extension for landscape maintenance with various landscape maintenance companies effective March 1st, 2018.
Motion to approve for discussion.
Second.
All right. Commissioner McCray?
Thank you. I'd just like to give kudos to the individuals who's getting the contractors. I'm just saying they've been going out in District 2. They've been cutting down like hell, and I'm glad of that because I'm just saying they cannot stand up underneath trees now and do drugs and get anything else they want to do. I'm just saying thanks for cleaning up District 2.
Commissioner Romulus?
Just a few questions. Are there any additional costs associated with the 6-month extension?
No, they're doing
Or
it
is
at
it just a
the
continuation?
existing rates. The landscape contract is a quite large and involved contract. It expires February 28th. Staff is in the process now of reevaluating on how we're going to quote that out and bid it for a couple reasons. And we just haven't got through it, so we need that 6-month time. And all the vendors agreed at the current rates for that 6-month period.
Now, in the backup, it said that we were going to try to emulate Delray and Boca's procurement. What does that mean?
I think it's the way they broke it up into pieces and how they encouraged various vendors to participate.
When you say various vendors, you mean local participants?
That's what we're hoping for.
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Minorities. Yeah, go.
So,
yes, Commissioner Casella.
So, Tim, how many of these vendors are local in the Boynton area?
I think there's 6 or 7, or is there 8 or 9? And I think there's one that's local right now.
Yeah.
So one?
One.
Okay.
Presently, under the existing contracts that we have. But remember that part of the issue on bidding and responsiveness from vendors is how we construct the bid or the document and how they are allowed to propose on it. So if we previously had constructed it that involved large work products, then you're going to limit yourself with the number of vendors that can provide that type of service on the basis we need it. If you redesign it to have a little more specific but one type of trade or one type of action, you may open that up to a number of different types of vendors that can do that one thing. So that's where we may hopefully have more interest as we make the changes to it.
Jeff Livergood, Director of Public Works and Engineering. I just want to add that this is one of the most complex contracts to administer that we have in the city. A number of years ago when we were going through budget cuts, we split a number of the expertise or the professions up so that when you see a basic landscape median, it is split into one contractor does the mulch, one contractor does the tree maintenance, one contractor does the pruning, and another, which is now the city, does the irrigation maintenance. On some of these larger projects, it is an incredible burden on one staff member to try to coordinate. So we're trying to consolidate and make it easier to administer so that we don't have to add staff to do it. At the same time, we're trying to determine which components of this are local and well-suited for local vendors to bid and be successful at. We're trying to balance these two aspects of this contract. There's a solution there. We're looking for best practices, and we're going to do it the Boynton way rather than others' ways, but we're going to make sure that we look at the best ways to do it. It just takes time.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none?
Second.
I already did that.
Yeah, you did. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed unanimously. Proposed resolution number R18-025, authorize city manager to enter into an agreement with Dell Financial Services for the lease purchase of 60 Panasonic CF54 semi-ruggedized, that's the word, laptops from Insight Public Sector in the amount of $51,456 for the first year, and then the same amount per year for the second and third year from the departmental budget, with a $1 buyout at the end of the 3-year lease term. Total cost of $154,369.74. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve for discussion.
Do I have a-
Second that.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Romulus.
I don't know if
You can go first.
You raised your hand first.
My question is, I see that we can do a outright buy for about $146,000, so meaning that we could save nearly $10,000 if we outright buy it. So are we able to readjust some funds and do that and save ourselves about $10,000 rather than hashing it out over time?
I think when the department reviewed this, the need for this has arisen because we are in the process of bringing on the new records management system in the police department. Normally, we would cycle out a number of computers per year. With this new system, there's a requirement to replace 60 of them at once. They looked at their budget. They don't feel comfortable that there is a way to do that a full $140,000 out of the current year budget without sacrificing something else. What they did do was they looked at their $1250 communication money that they have access to from the county. So they can do the first year out of that and then the next 2 years out of their departmental, which will then put them on a cycle to fund it on a 3-year cycle. So I think they looked at it. They're recommending this.
And the 140, that was the best negotiated price for a one-time buy?
It's on a contract base. That's a contracted price based on the state of Florida contract, I believe. NASPA.
And there are no other departments that we can pull from to make this happen?
I mean, yeah, there's infinite possibilities. But so you're saying that it's costing 2% interest for amortizing it over 3 years versus spending the $146,000 this year?
Right.
You know, I'm okay with the 2%, especially because that means we're spending only $50,000 in year 3 instead of nothing, and that way we can amortize it over the life of the computers. The other thing is that I know that we will be replacing these ruggedized Panasonic laptops. Do we have something in place so that they will be able to use for once they're cleared to use for the city's uses, hopefully in our Parks and Recs department?
I'm going to call Doug up to answer that question.
Good evening, Doug Solomon, Technical Services Manager for the Police Department. In the past, what we typically do is we retire these computers, and following Florida Department of Law Enforcement regulations, we pull the hard drives out and destroy them. But there's nothing that would preclude us from donating them. The problem is some of these are 7, 8, and 9-year-old laptops that we have managed to keep, and I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable giving them to another department.
So I understand you taking out the hard drive. I know that we have a hack lab here and some other tech companies. I just hate to see the bodies recycled if they have some still use.
They have limited use. They're not going to be sufficient for what we need for the applications we use. I can certainly get with City ITS, and we can determine which ones are worth saving and recycling.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes,
I'd like to thank my 2 colleagues for asking my questions. Thank you. I'm good.
All right. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed unanimously. Moving on to City Manager's report. Provide direction to staff regarding potential land sale or transfer of city-owned land parcel adjacent to Palm Beach Leisureville. Before we begin, is the commission okay with hearing from staff first? Would you like public audience before or after we speak?
Personally, maybe public audience, then the staff, if they have any questions, staff could answer those questions at that time.
Oh, I'd like to give them a basis so that they don't have to ask questions that staff is already going to provide. So,
Fine with staff going first.
Okay, so we're going to have staff go first, then public, and then staff again, and we can ask staff if we have any further questions.
Good evening again, Jeff Livergood, Director of Public Works and Engineering. May surprise you, this is one night I'll be brief, or one item that I'll be brief on. You'd asked us and the Palm Beach Leisureville Community Association to evaluate and be more specific in what their use would be on the land parcel located adjacent to their land. They've done that. It's in the backup. Their intent is to use open space, providing a gazebo, walking paths, potential dog walk areas, and other amenities that are typically associated with a public park. They would be constructing this at their expense. They would be closing it to vehicular traffic so that they can be sure that it's closed up and buttoned up at night. Secondly, they're willing to open it up to pedestrian traffic to all surrounding residents so that they can walk in and use the facility. They can expand further and better explain to you what their uses would be. Secondly, you know that you have an offer from Habitat to build, I believe, 11 homes. That offer is still on the table with financial offer as well. And one of the other options available to the Commission is simply to put it out to bid to the highest bidder to see what options are available. Frankly, that's about as much as staff can offer, because it's really about what your vision is for the next 40 to 50 to 60 years of what you think the land should be and how it should be used. Aside from that, that's about the most that staff can offer tonight.
All right. Thank you. Hello. We'll now allow for public audience. If everyone could limit it to 3 minutes, it would be most appreciative.
Shirley Casa, 217 Southwest 14th Street in Palm Beach, Leisureville. This is a wonderful opportunity for the city and the HOA. I would look at this as the first time that an HOA has a possibility of expanding their recreation facilities and waking up a sleepy, small lot just next to our community. And to wake this up and give the opportunity for the residents and our neighbors next door, Lake Boynton Estates, in our nature fitness trail that is for health reasons, to be able to walk in safety without having to worry about being hit by a car, trains, and it's going to be well designed. I look forward to seeing it as a nature trail where we can develop an area that would draw in animals, birds, ducks, butterflies, a place where we can have some meditation, quietness, peacefulness, and enjoyment in our community and our surrounding Lake Boynton Estates neighbors. I look forward to the Commission agreeing with this so that we can move forward with our project. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Harold Ide. My wife and I reside at 1003 Raposo Avenue. We're proud owners of a home in Palm Beach, Leisureville. Palm Beach, Leisureville, as you know, is a large 2,305 senior home community and was one of the first of its kind in Boynton Beach. Many of the current residents of Palm Beach, Leisureville are second and third generation owners, living in the same house that their parents once occupied. I too expect that one day one of my children will take my place in this fine community. For this reason and so many more, we of the Palm Beach Leisureville community do support the efforts of our city leaders and their endeavor to maintain and improve the city of Boynton Beach. The additional availability of a park-like open space is in our area of Boynton Beach is a welcome event. Our residents are younger in their minds than their parents. This leads them to seek out more active lifestyle. Leisure park property will fulfill this need. Thank you again for listening to me, and I thank the many residents who came here for Leisureville in support of this. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Louise Farrell, and I reside at 1909 Southwest 13th Avenue in Palm Beach, Leisureville. I just want to thank the commissioners here for considering Leisureville for that property. Thank you.
My
Mike Fitzpatrick, 175 Southwest 2nd Street. The comprehensive plan a few years back called for 6 acres of open space per 1,000 people. It was cut under Mayor Jared Broning to 3, and now it's down to 2.5 acres per 1,000 people. This land is part of the calculation. So my question is, how much open space is left in Boynton? Are we still meeting that comprehensive plan requirement? And with all the new construction that's going on, the loss of another few acres is going in the wrong direction. Thank you.
All right. So there really wasn't any questions for staff. Any discussion from the board? Who would like to begin?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have the privilege of saying that I can recall when Palm Beach Leisureville was built. That's how young I am. In regards to the open space, I'm going to say it tonight. Habitat, I like what you're doing in District 2, but I kind of want to go with Leisureville tonight with this project. I think that you all do need the open space, and that's going to be my vote tonight for Leisureville.
Vice Mayor Katz?
Yeah, excuse me. I brought this up a little while ago at the request of one of the residents from Leisureville, and through the process of looking into the options for what this land could be used, we discussed, or staff discussed it, Habitat for Humanity is interested in it, we could bid it out, and then obviously Leisureville's interested in it. Through those discussions, as Commissioner Fitzpatrick pointed out, this land was, although not deed restricted, it was specifically earmarked for open space as a result of the development adjacent to it. So I've been torn this whole time because I want to try to make some money for the taxpayers because it is a land with some value, but at the same time, I wanted to find some way to make sure that Leisureville could utilize some, if not all, the space. But I've kind of come around to the conclusion that if in fact this was specifically earmarked, even though it wasn't deed restricted, for open space, and through speaking to constituents in the community, many of them expressed that when they purchased their houses, they were explicitly told that this was open space and was supposed to remain open space. I'm leaning in that direction. In a perfect world, I'd like to see some portion of it built into a couple houses to get some revenue for the city. But if that compromises the potential project for Leisureville, then I wouldn't be in favor of that. So it's kind of where I'm at this time, is that they might have some legitimate claims to it, in my personal opinion, based on what the expectation of that land was.
One of my concerns is that I spoke with one of the residents, and they are tired of looking at it as a vacant lot. And so do we want to put a reverter clause in it so that if nothing is done within 2 years, that it would revert back to the city? We can make it as simple as if they fail to receive a permit from the city for construction or receive a certificate of occupancy is a little bit more harsher.
Personally, I think Leisureville's obviously been there a long time. It's over 2,000 homes in that. They were promised that this was going to be open land. If you read their overall plan here on what they're planning and doing, I think it's great. It's going to be really no cost to the city as far as maintenance and security. I think that's huge. I don't think the reverter clause when we're dealing with Leisureville is really a viable idea.
Okay. And so,
I'm sorry, your last comment was you don't think a reverter clause is what? I apologize.
Viable. We don't really need one.
Okay.
and Commissioner Ramos, you have anything to say?
Well, I believe it's been I've been very vocal about making sure that we have affordable housing in this city, and so that being said, I would have definitely leaned in the direction of having Habitat for Humanity come and work on this property to allow for more affordable housing to come into our community. But as I can see, the majority of the board is leaning in the direction of providing for Leisureville to build their open space there in their a park, I guess it would be, then I will definitely, of course, be in favor for that. I would actually add to your comment, Mayor, about putting a time limit, because I think that's one of the things that we've always had issues with in the city, where we will ask for something to get done and it will be pushed back and delayed and not get done, and then we're, several commissions later still wondering what happened to the initial project. So I would ask that maybe it's not as stringent as 2 years, but at least we place some type of time limit, so that way we can make sure that we work with the Leisureville community to ensure that that park, if that's what they so choose to do, is built there and it's built within a reasonable amount of time, and that the individuals that are surrounding will get to enjoy that amenity. I also will ask, and that needs to be ensured to us as a city, that all surrounding communities, not just Leisureville, have access to that park so that they can be able to use the amenities of that park, and it can be something that's available to the public.
Okay. Vice Mayor, is that your hand up?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone from the community is kind of authorized to speak on it, but if there is any sort of planned time frame, I haven't seen it necessarily vocalized, but I don't know if anyone can speak to that from the community. Is there expectation that it would be built within 12 to 18 months, or is 2 years reasonable? I don't want to put a time limit on it, but at the same time, I think they're already motivated enough to build it.
Yeah.
That's why they're approaching us for it. But I'm just curious what the potential time frame is.
Commissioner Casella?
Yeah, if I'm reading this right to the Vice Mayor here, it's just time to complete the park in 2 to 5 years. Phase 1 boundary survey, typographical elevation, civil engineering plans, 6 months for permitting. That's...
Yeah.
Well, that's a very broad
Time to complete the park is
timeframe.
2 to 5 years. And they're Phase 1 and Phase 2, Phase 3.
6 months for permitting.
So
I have no problem trying to ascertain I think 2 to 5 years is a proposal time frame. If we could ascertain a more accurate time frame, if in fact we gave them the land, and also just make sure that the land, if given to Leisureville, is restricted so that it can only be a park. It can't be developed. It can't be turned into additional homes. If the proposal is for a park, that it can only remain a park or open space.
So I think the consensus is have a more firm timeline for each of the phases, because I don't know if it's 2 to 5 years for Phase 1 or 2 to 5 years for completion of Phase 1, 2, and 3. In addition, having a deed restriction so that it remains open space. And so, Commissioner McCray?
Thank you. Vice Mayor Katz said if we gave them the property, are they willing to pay, what is it, $24,000?
Right, I thought that there was a price to
on it.
this
I said
property.
Right.
Again, in a perfect world for me, we find some way to make some money off it. So if they're willing to put down the original proposal of $24,999.
And so those are the 3 conditions we'd like to inform staff to see what we can have before we finalize the transfer of the property. Does that sound about right?
Sale of the property.
Sale, transfer is the same thing.
The sale sounds better.
All right, for the sale. So we're not transferring it for free.
All right, so we established the price is going to be $24,999, correct? That's the price.
It's only to Leisureville.
To Leisureville, correct. The second stipulation is that it has to be a park.
Deed restricted.
Deed restricted. Okay, and what is our third option, the timeline?
It's have a more descriptive timeline instead of what is the timeline for Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, not what's the timeline for all 3 phases.
Gaza, could you speak to that?
Yes, I'd like it to be considered a recreation, not just park.
Okay.
Park is too limited, and it's to be part of our recreation facilities, please.
Okay. So deed restricted for recreation. That's fine. Lori, or Jim, is there anything else we need to discuss?
I would, just have a conversation about open space. When you heard from former Commissioner Fitzpatrick earlier, recreation facilities can turn out to be all asphalt tennis courts. In the spirit of what I think I'm hearing from the Commission in terms of maintaining open park space, you may want to hone in on the recreation facility aspect of it.
Is there any way for us to get site plan approval?
Yes.
And so can we include that as one of the conditions for transfer, the site plan approval?
We can.
Subject to.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Myself, and we will certainly bring it back to the board with your blessing to have us go forward on this. Thank you, if
Yeah.
you do that.
All right. Vice Mayor?
And just one more aspect, because it was mentioned by Commissioner Ramos, but no one else has weighed in on that with regards to its accessibility. If Leisureville's purchasing the land and they're going to maintain the land, should it be open to the public? Should it be allowed to be closed at certain hours? I think that given the fact that they're buying it and putting the money in for the property, it technically, to me, is part of Leisureville, and at that point, they're free to do as they please with regards to access.
I think what they said is for the gates is that it's public access for the neighbors in Lake Boynton Estates. And I'm guessing, similar, unless there's lights, it'd be from dusk to dawn. Is that correct?
Yes, there'd be gates so that it would be from dusk to dawn, and certainly we welcome our neighboring community. And if there's any problematic things that come up, we'd have to change that and make sure that it would be separate from any vandalism or damage to the property.
All right. So, any further comments? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Stanley Gomez. I live at 811 Southwest First Avenue, which is across the street from the land in question. And I'm here to support Leisure Village in their plans for making a recreational area out of this land. And I think that's a great idea, and it'll keep open spaces for the community. Thank you.
I live in Lakes of Boynton, 709 Southwest First Court. I'm just concerned that how we could have access to this property. From what I can visualize, when I finally figured out where it was, it doesn't seem like we people in Lakes of Boynton will have much of a chance to get to it. It'll be like separated off.
It'll have an entrance, at the gate for accessibility.
But it will be conceived as part of Leisureville and not part of the city?
Since they're purchasing and developing the property, yeah.
So it'll be part of Leisureville.
What it's saying, what the backup documents show us, what they're looking to do is have an entrance and exit on Southwest First Court and Southwest First Avenue.
It will be accessible to everybody equally. I just have a concern about that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Peter Simo. I live at 813 Southwest First Avenue. I'm Stanley's next door neighbor. I lived there for about 14 years, and I would like to thank all of you for leaning towards Leisureville. I think that's the right move. What we need is more parks and more green space, and we have plenty of buildings in Boynton Beach, I believe, so we need more green space, more parks. Again, thank you very much. On a side note, about 10, maybe 12 years ago, I did a petition with all my neighbors. I went with my son. Right now he's 21. He was probably 10, 11 years old back then. We knocked on all the neighbors' doors, and we wanted to have a park there. 10, 12 years ago, everybody signed it. Everybody thought it was a great idea. Then I turned in the petition to the city, and I was told there's not money in the budget for that. So I understand that. So I'm very happy that Leisureville is willing to step up and pay for it and do something there. As far as the entrance to the park, if I read the map correctly, it's going to be right in front of our house, because we're the very first house from the park. And we are fine with that, because we know the people in Leisureville, they're quiet people, so we don't have a problem with that. They have the guard going there. We can see the lights. They don't go in front of our house, but they would go in front of our house. So it's going to be increased security on our street as a side benefit. And I know they would lock the gate at night, so there is no problem with that. So again, thank you all for supporting that.
If I may, Randy Nobles, I'm the president and CEO of Habitat for Humanity, 181 Southeast 5th Avenue in Delray Beach. And just, we're obviously up here, looking for another reason of what to do with the property. That's to build affordable homes. As Commissioner Romulus has pointed out, there is a huge need for that in our community. And what we do find when we move into a community is there is a halo effect of everything that happens around it. So, it's not just building 11 homes, it's uplifting everything, particularly that pushes to the east. And so, yeah, we're disappointed with the sentiment of the commission. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten from both the commission and the CRA. We are working in the toughest neighborhoods in Boynton, so a project like this is something that is more meaningful to us, where we can have a larger impact. So we've built 67 homes in affordable homes in Boynton Beach in the last 10 years. We've also renovated another 76, so that halo effect of uplifting the community, does work. So I wanted to say where we're coming from and why we're here, and again, we appreciate the other support. So thank you.
And we have a consensus from the board. We okay to move on? All right. Thank you.
Next item is approve the annual report from the Citizen Oversight Committee for the fiscal year 2016 to 17.
I don't have a presenter. Anybody want to say anything about it? We're just going to do a motion.
Yeah, we just need a motion, but unless the commission has a question, we'd be happy to.
I read it. Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion from the board or audience? Seeing none. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed unanimously. And our final item under new business is proposed resolutions number 18-026, authorize the mayor to sign an interlocal agreement between the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach CRA to provide financial support to the Ocean Breeze East Apartments LLC in the association with their application for the 9% tax credit for low-income housing tax credits, and sign any related application documents to confirm such support.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I see we have one discussion. Yes?
Yeah. Matthew McGillan, 5102 Mahogany Drive, Boynton Beach. I happen to be part of an organization called Palm Beach Tenants Union, and we did some research on the history of CRA in Boynton Beach and the history of City Commission, and we found some interesting facts, and that raises concerns on how CRA operates in the city. A fellow citizen had raised concerns about the diversity of CRA a few minutes ago, and he was shut down by Commissioner McRae. And out of all these commissioners, someone might wonder why Commissioner McRae was the only one who got defensive. It's not a coincidence. So, looking into the history of CRA in Boynton Beach.
Excuse me, is this towards the item at hand, or is this regarding the history of the CRA?
It relates to the.
Okay.
Talking about, if I may. Okay. So, even before I go into the history, I was at the CRA meeting in December. It's not attended by a large public audience, but during the CRA meeting, we noticed some interesting facts. The chairman who sat at the CRA meeting, the CRA advisory board meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We had a chance to talk to him after the meeting. He happened to be drunk. He appeared to be drunk to his throat. And we raised concerns about gentrification, because CRA is the main driver of gentrification in most of the cities. So we raised that concern. And his comment was, and I quote, his comment was, we are not going to displace everybody, all poor people from the city. We just need at least few people to mow my lawn. So that was exactly what his comment was. And looking into the history of CRA in Boynton Beach, we found that the City Commission of Boynton Beach was actually investigated by the State Office of Ethics, and FBI had later joined that investigation because the then commissioner of the city happened to have close ties with Auburn Group, which is a development company in Delray Beach. And
Sir, this has nothing to do with the interlocal agreement.
Organically, it raises concerns over
because this is only the city, so this is not to talk about the CRA. You'd have to talk about the CRA at the CRA meetings. This is the city's support of the $567,500 for the grant contribution for the Ocean Breeze East land.
I understand that. However, whenever there are issues concerning to CRA or concerning to Zoning and Development Board that have been raised in this commission meeting, there are some commissioners, especially Mr. McRae, who had diverted the discussion in a different direction and refused to have that discussion, and which raises a serious concern about the transparency of these kind of proposals and how the city interacts with other third-party companies. That's what I want to talk about.
With respect,
Vice Mayor, yes.
One, during public comment,
very confused.
There's no actual discussion. It's a courtesy of any given board to respond, and it's something that happens here in Boynton Beach, I think, because historically that's been the courtesy of the board. So there's no expectation of a discussion to spawn from public comment. As the chair, as the mayor pointed out, this vote is about trying to get affordable housing built on Seacrest Boulevard. You're going into the history or your perceived history of the CRA. As the mayor tried to point out, I don't know if no one is shutting you down. It's just you're not speaking to the item.
It's also about giving a tax credit to a private company, right?
No, the state would be giving them a tax credit if they were able to obtain it.
We're hoping that they can get that tax credit because this will be the fourth or fifth time that a private company has applied for it and has not won. So we're actually looking forward for this low-income housing tax credit. What the CRA has done in the past is that we've applied for it and it has not worked. In this instance, I think Ocean Breeze East Apartments actually owns the property now, and they're going to, based upon what the CRA is doing, is to apply for the 9% this year and then the 4% and 9% next year if they are unsuccessful. And then if that's the case, then it will be up to the CRA to put in the extra money for affordable homes. As you may know, unless someone is subsidizing the property, they will be going for market value because a developer is not going to build buildings at a loss. And so that's kind of where we are at here, is we are supporting Ocean Breeze East Apartments for their development of affordable homes by using the state's program to subsidize them rather than the taxpayers of Boynton Beach.
Well, the concern is we shouldn't be showing favoritism to any particular company.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Vice Mayor, or
Thank
Commissioner
you.
McCray,
Thank you.
sorry.
I wasn't getting defensive, but I do represent District 2, where the CRA has their majority of the land there. I was there when the CRA was incepted. I've been here for 64 years. I wasn't getting defensive, but I am a minority. I represent a minority group over there, and that's why I spoke the way I spoke. And if he got offended, so be it. I get offended a lot of times when they speak to us. Okay.
Diversity doesn't represent just ethnic diversity. It also represents people from different economic class. You should have, CRA advisory board. You should have people from, from regular jobs. Sitting there. I applied for CRA advisory board per your comment. In December when you had raised concerns that not many people are applying for these positions. I applied for those positions, and for 2 weeks I was the only applicant in that position. And later I learned that a wealthy business owner was given that opportunity. So people, ordinary Joes like me, who have a regular job, who are renting property in the city, don't get to sit in that board. People who get to sit in those boards are either people who have ties with developers or people who happen to be wealthy business owners. So do you think they would have the best interest of citizens in mind, or would they represent the entire demography of the city?
I think that
I don't think so.
the reason your
Vice Mayor,
application wasn't accepted is because you didn't have a proper tax receipt in the city, and that's a requirement to have a registered local business.
And I did get that.
Excuse me, I'm going to interject right here. I think we thank you for your comments.
All right.
And we have a motion and second, I believe. And so all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Seeing none, motion passed unanimously. Anything else? May I have a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry, I got a little excited.